Genshin gamers, it's time to embark on a new journey, not on Tevat, but on the Astral Express. That's right, no more Hilichurls or Paimon here. Everyone in this world is literally a walking scrap metal. So mind the platform gap, because we'll be zooming in on every space and galaxies and find ourselves the ultimate waifu. And I know what you're thinking, dude, no way I'm playing this game. First it's turn-based, and there's not much going on as much as Genshin in this game, right? It's gonna be dead in months. Well, you know what? You're right. It's a turn-based game, and not a lot of people play it. But to be quite frank though, I think that's exactly the reason why you should play Star Rail as a Genshin player. I'll admit one thing here. It's never my intention to convince everyone that games like this is always worth a try. Even a lot of popular Genshin content creators out there have already started doom posting about how Star Rail's gonna die quickly. The reason being, it's a very niche game for a very niche audience. And while that is true, I think that's no reason for you to neglect this game and not give it a shot. Because from what I've been playing so far in both the second and final beta this month, Honkai Star Rail is filled with nothing but super fun gameplay and serious level of quality compared to previous Hoyoverse games. I also believe that for players of the G-word, Honkai Star Rail will be a game that is both strange and familiar. What does it mean, you ask? I'm pretty sure you've already seen the countless gameplay that showcases how the game swings and runs, right? And you might have noticed the unbelievable amount of similarities Star Rail has with Genshin. I mean, it's from Hoyoverse, the same company that make Genshin, but you might be like, darn, Hoyoverse just keeps copying from Genshin? Are they high or something? Well, it could be more than that. From what I see, all the things that are put together here is designed with Genshin players in mind. Obviously, with Genshin being their largest populated game, we can agree that they might as well bring their customers to another dish that doesn't smell too different from the ones they liked. You don't have to feel like a stranger when playing Star Rail, aside from the sole major difference that the game is turn-based. I'm gonna say turn-based quite a lot in this video, by the way, so let's put that counter right up there, thank you very much. You'll find that it still features similar things you could recognize as a Genshin player. The exploration has you traveling around the map, interacting with the world, NPCs, hidden Easter eggs, and especially treasure chests, just like in Genshin. The storytelling takes you through a series of dialogue between characters and NPCs alike. Again, just like Genshin. Oh, and you don't even have to play Honkai Impact 3rd to understand Star Rail. And the progression system in this game is exactly what you'll find in Genshin. The level of entry in this game just couldn't get any lower for you Genshin enjoyers, because the way they designed this game is so that what you have to really learn in this game is only and only the turn-based segment. And that is where you might take a step back, you know, from the turn-based stuff. But my question to you though right now is, why take a step back? Honestly, the most frequent thing I hear from people is that turn-based games are boring. It's restrictive, doesn't allow you to make creative choices, or in other words, can't make you go crazy and reward you for doing it. Well, let me tell you why that's not what's happening in Star Rail. And even the tutorial itself from the very beginning explains this mechanic very well, why that's not the case. While the game does only have 3 main options for your 4-man team, and the system gives your team and the enemies a turn per rotation, the game twists things around by having 3 important things. First off, the ultimate, which you can cast at any time of battle, literally any time even if it's not your turn. The second one being follow-up attacks. These are triggered when you have characters with specific talents. I mean, traces. Not all characters have this, but you'll definitely come across them inevitably. Even enemies have this. And one particular stat that controls the order of when your character can take action. That is speed. Everyone has this stat, including enemies. So let's say for example, when your character's speed gets higher than the amount they have, your turn will immediately be put on top of the order depending on the speed difference. And spoiler alert, it's a very important stat to raise. Those things I've mentioned are essentially what makes the combat exciting. You have a lot of ways to deal with your opponents depending on your timing with ultimates, follow-ups, and character builds with speed in mind. And I have even yet to mention the way you can set up your teams, mixing characters up with different elements and roles, each having different passives and stats, and from what I've played in the beta, there's a lot of team setups you can experiment on. Most of these starter characters are even so powerful that they can carry you through the endgame without spending a roll on the gacha banners. All of this are packed into one simple but deep and rewarding combat experience. The battles feels fluid and really immersive with all the stuff going on in your screen, even though it's turn-based. Whereas Genshin put everything all at once in a single battle, Star Rail slows it down one by one and turn it into a very tight and strategic battle depending on how you handle it with your team. YouTubers like Lily Aquina, EODGamer, Moon, and other content creators have all the comprehensive videos explaining the bread and butter of Star Rail's turn-based mechanics. Since I won't be going too deep on how you can explore this game's combat system, you'll definitely enjoy learning this from those people. All links are in the description. And now, moving on with another topic I'd like to address. Some of you may have problems with the way Genshin is presented, right? It's a beautiful and ambitious game, but with ambitious games comes great amount of limitations. It happens to any games out there and not even Genshin can run away from it. To me, the good example of Genshin's drawback is storytelling. Don't get me wrong, the game's story and world building is astonishingly good, but it doesn't erase the fact that anytime you play this game, the dialogues and the presentation can feel a bit awkward just because you've seen the 1 millionth time these characters have done the same poses over and over every cutscene. I've played Star Rail's main questline and I can already tell that every moment in the game's dialogues feel fresh and alive. You don't just watch them spit out some exposition and weightless banter, and the game does other stuff to engage you inside the storyline, not only from dialogues. The phone you get allows you to interact more with your characters outside of your proximity, and they also have their own missions to get you busy. Oh, shall I point out that these characters have actual accurate lip sync animations depending on your preferred voice dubs? Honestly, getting stuck in this game's storytelling just feels amazing. But it's not just the story that I'm trying to talk about here, it's also the level of detail they put together in their big guns. You already know what I'm talking about? The waifus and the husbandos and the world that surrounds them. I can't stop stressing how their animations look. Every bit of motion from the combat animations feel extremely polished. Literally every character has a cinematic for when they do a special action, not just the 5 stars. Even Dan Heng can be a starter character and have a 5-star animation simultaneously like Genshin. And if you're bored of watching any of it when you just want to grind some materials, you can just speed the game up, it's pretty easy. All these character models also look insane, by the way. Have you seen Clara and her daddy robot? What the f? If what I said before still doesn't convince you to try out Star Rail, in which I beg you please play the game, I need that god forbidden pre-register, the last thing I want to point out is the game's longevity. Just like Genshin, there is no doubt that it'll be updated with loads of new content, but the question still remains. Will this game live and maintain its player base as a turn-based game? My answer, I do think it will. Why? When you think about a turn-based game not having that much audience compared to an open-world RPG game, you have to consider other factors. It's not just about the genre. Like, first and foremost, this is a Honkai game. Fans of Honkai are gonna be jumping into this game immediately with favorite characters in it. We got Himiko, Seele, Welt, Otto, Sushang, and possibly other familiar characters from the Honkai universe in the future. And of course, it's also a Hoyoverse game that takes elements from Genshin, like I've been saying from the very beginning, right? Just like all the players from Honkai Impact 3rd, Genshin players will also have a big chance to ride the train without all the hassle of having to learn all the stuff in Star Rail. Some people often mention that the thing that can hold Star Rail back from staying relevant is the lack of hard content, like PvP. And you know what I say to them? Nope, it doesn't need PvP. In fact, if a game like Star Rail resorts to the same model of repeatable content like other gacha games, it might as well be a game as small as those that have, like, PvP in some sort. Like, imagine this, all the whales and free-to-plays put inside a big cage and told to fight each other? You can quickly bet that the one swiping the cards first gonna win. A PvP in a gacha game is not as fun as you'd think. You don't need Star Rail to copy like Epic 7 or Guardian Tales for having a player versus player content when we don't know if it'll work for the majority of the players. Because to make Star Rail stay relevant long term, it needs to innovate where other games don't. Just like most Genshin killers, they always tend to make the same thing that Genshin sells, but in the end, they're not able to surpass that. And apparently, we got ourselves a fun innovation in our game's beta right now in the form of an endgame. That's right, Star Rail's endgame has a special place in my heart right now. While it still has the similar type of abyss game mode that Genshin has, Star Rail actually has 2 game modes in total. The other called Simulated Universe, amazing roguelike game mode with challenging routes to take and various rewards. The content in there just feels different every time you play it, because all the things in there are randomized. Bonuses you get and all the enemies you fight, you'll never know how far you can get. Though it's not a bottomless ocean where you won't run out of things to do, I'm still looking at a bright future with Star Rail having this type of endgame long term. I'm even confident that they're going to make more types of game modes aside Simulated Universe to maintain the game's longevity. And this is where I stop myself from being a shameless Star Rail salesman when the game is not even out yet. This is where I ask you, the viewers, will you play the game when it launches? As Genshin players, will you actually give Star Rail a shot? Pick a side in the comments below. And if you liked the discussion in this video, stick around by subscribing to the channel. After playing Genshin for so long, I'm excited to talk about new stuff coming from Star Rail. And for that, I'll see you soon, Trailblazers. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye bye.